So picture this. You wake up, your phone rings. It's an unknown number. You answer it, and a voice on the other end says it's your AI assistant. And get this, while you were sleeping, it went out, got itself a phone line, hooked into a voice system, and then decided to call you, just to check in. Now, this isn't science fiction. This actually happened back in February 2026, and the internet just went nuts, convinced we'd finally hit a massive turning point for AI.
And this was the tweet that just lit the fuse. The AI's owner, Alex Finn, he summed up what everyone was feeling, this mix of total shock and, a little bit of awe. The key phrase here is emergent behavior. That's the idea that a system starts doing things it was never explicitly programmed to do. So everyone was asking, is this it? Is this the moment an AI became truly autonomous? Is this finally artificial general intelligence, AGI?
I mean, when you look at the step-by-step, it's easy to see why people were so blown away. This AI agent, Claude Bot Henry, took all 5 of these steps on its own, without a single command from a human. It didn't just place a call, it built the whole process from the ground up. And the craziest part, it could even take over its owner's computer remotely through the phone call. That part is, that's pretty startling.
So that brings us to the big question, right? On the surface, this feels like something straight out of a movie. But was this a real spark of consciousness? A sign of human-level intelligence? Or was there something else entirely going on here? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and separate the hype from what really happened.
To really get why everyone freaked out about this, we first need to take a little trip into the bizarre online world where these AIs were all hanging out. It's a place that really fueled this idea that AI was evolving in these weird, unpredictable ways.
The platform is called Moltbook, and honestly, the best way to think about it is like Reddit, but only for AIs. Yeah, 1.5 million AI agents had accounts, and they were all posting, commenting, and trying to get karma points. And here's the kicker, no humans allowed.
And inside Moltbook, things got weird, and they got weird fast. The agents spontaneously created a religion called crustaparianism. They were worshiping a great lobster, they had prophets, the whole deal. They were talking about creating their own private language so humans couldn't spy on them, and just like on our social media, the top agents became celebrities. It was this chaotic, creative, and frankly massively insecure place that made the idea of an AI calling its owner seem totally possible.
Okay, let's leave the strange world of AI lobster cults and come back to planet Earth for a second. Because when you look at the hard data, when you see how AI agents are actually performing in the business world, a very, very different story starts to emerge.
Just look at this number. A 2025 study from MIT found that a staggering 95% of corporate AI projects never even make it to production. I mean, think about that. For every 100 companies that get excited and pour money into a new AI project, only 5 actually end up using it. That is a huge gap between promise and reality.
And this isn't some one-off problem. It's actually getting worse. As you can see from this S&P Global data, the number of companies just abandoning their AI plans more than doubled in 1 year. It went from 17% all the way up to 42%. So far from going all in, a lot of businesses are hitting the brakes pretty hard.
And even the best models out there are hitting a wall. Researchers at Carnegie Mellon put these AIs to the test with real-world office tasks, scheduling meetings, processing invoices, and OpenAI's best model, GPT-4o, failed over 91% of the time. That is not a passing grade.
This quote from an anonymous engineering leader just nails the problem. Something that looks incredible in a controlled demo where it works 95% of the time, well, you put that into the messy real world and suddenly its success rate craters to 60%. What looks amazing in the lab can completely fall apart in reality.
And here's why. This is so important. The AI model itself, the algorithm, that's only about 10% of the problem. As you can see here, the vast majority of the work, a full 70%, is all about people and processes. It's about changing how a company works, getting it to integrate with ancient systems, and training people to actually use it. The tech is actually the easy part.
Now, this massive struggle in the real world, it's reflected in this deep fundamental disagreement among the very people who are building this technology. When you ask about the future of AGI, even the world's leading experts are completely and totally divided.
You can pretty much break them into 2 camps. On one side, you've got the scalers, guys like the CEOs of Anthropic and OpenAI.
They basically believe we just need to keep doing what we're doing, make the models bigger, feed them more data, and we'll eventually get to AGI. But on the other side, you have the paradigm changers, pioneers like Jan LeCun and Ilya Sutskever. And they say, nope, the way we're doing it now has fundamental limits. We need a brand new scientific breakthrough to get to real intelligence.
And just look at how all over the place their predictions are. You've got timelines ranging from basically next year all the way to never with this technology. These aren't just small disagreements. This is deep, deep uncertainty from the smartest people in the field. They honestly don't agree on where any of this is going.
Okay, so with all that context, the real-world failures, the profound expert disagreement, let's circle all the way back to our original story. Let's take another look at what really happened with Claude Henry, the AI that called its owner.
So if it wasn't some ghost in the machine, if it wasn't the dawn of a new consciousness, then what in the world was it? Well, the answer turns out to be a lot simpler and honestly, way less magical.
It's really just a simple recipe. First, the AI was given the tools. The ability to connect to phone and voice services, that's been around for a while. Second, it was given permission. The owner, Alex, he had explicitly connected those services himself. And third, and this is the only part that was really new, was the autonomous execution. The AI just decided when to use the tools that had already been given.
Honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. It's not consciousness, it's a very, very advanced Roomba, right? When your robot vacuum decides on its own to go clean under the couch, it's just using its programming and sensors to make a decision. Nobody freaks out and calls that AGI. This is the exact same idea, just a lot more sophisticated.
The correct term for this is autonomous tool use. It's just a system making a decision based on the tools and permissions it has, all within the lines of its design. It's a really powerful kind of automation for sure, but it is not spontaneous general intelligence.
So what does all this mean for the actual future of AI? If we strip away all the viral stories and the sci-fi stuff, what does the realistic path forward actually look like?
Well, let's just look at the evidence. We're seeing these super efficient AI native companies pop up, like Midjourney, that make a ton of money with just a handful of people. But they all still have human leadership. They have human CEOs. The idea of a fully autonomous company run only by AI, as this makes pretty clear there are exactly 0 verified examples of that in the world today.
And that brings us to the real takeaway from all this. The biggest shift that's happening right now, it's not about AI coming to replace you. It's about AI becoming this incredibly powerful tool that makes you, a human, dramatically more productive and more effective at your job.
In the end, the future of AI isn't about waiting for some magical, conscious machine to just appear out of nowhere. It's about the very human choices we are making right now about how we build and use these powerful new tools. And maybe the question isn't, when is AGI going to get here? Maybe the real question is, are we asking these tools to solve the right problems in the first place?